So we ran through a warm-up for the lower body before you work out. Make sure you're not neglecting the upper body, and it can be relatively quick if you get some of the bigger structures. Today I'm going to show you really quickly how to get the pec major. You can also get minor with it, but also the lat before you go into any kind of upper body workout. The pecs and the lats are two of our biggest internal rotators of the shoulder. So oftentimes we find ourselves dumped forward in the shoulders. Much of that comes from the pecs and the lats. So a quick way to loosen up the pecs, we've shown this probably a million times using a lacrosse ball up against a wall, up against a rig. You can bring it out a little further from the wall with a yoga block if you need to get into that pec muscle with just some basic compression, staying off of any bony prominences, obviously. Again, anytime you can add motion with the compression, you're gonna get more bang for your buck. So working flexion of the shoulder, you can work a little bit out to the side, what we call horizontal abduction of the shoulder, and you can even come back into a little bit of internal rotation with the compression. As soon as you're finished warming up the tissue a little bit, whether it's with a lacrosse ball or a foam roller on the floor, you can either get up against the wall to stretch that pec muscle. We no longer encourage stretching of the pecs and the shoulders in a door frame just because it can be a little too aggressive on the rotator cuff. We do, however, encourage you to get against a wall. Sometimes you can do it on the floor as well if you're not cranking too much on the shoulder. So against the wall, opening up for a pec stretch, or even better, you can grab a band if you have access to one, resistance band. You're gonna slide your hand through, grab the band, and you're gonna work away from the pull-up bar or the rig, and you're gonna do what K-Star for years is called a lateral opener for the pec. So this is a great way to now stretch the muscle, kind of in and out of the muscle after you've warmed it up with the lacrosse ball or the foam roller. I also encourage people to tie in the biceps. It's a muscle that we don't stretch before workouts, but it's one that we should, especially the long head of the bicep, because of its relationship with our labrum, which is a little donut-shaped cushion inside of our shoulder. So outside of the lateral opener for the pec, you can also start to rotate the palm down or go into what we call supination of the wrist to tie in that bicep, because the bicep bends the elbow but also supinates the wrist, which is where the reason for a concentration curl. So to stretch the bicep, you've got to rotate that palm down, and then you can gently turn away from the band to tie in that bicep, being cautious of any sharp pain in the shoulder. You can take that same lacrosse ball, and on the ground, you can isolate certain parts of the lat muscle with a lacrosse ball. If that's not getting enough of it for you, here you can go to the foam roller. You want to get that high part of the lat where it's going to be nice and tender, but also you want to go down the muscle a little bit without getting too compressive on the rib cage. Again, you can add a little bit of oscillation here of the muscle as you're rolling it. And then from here, you can use that same foam roller to go into an active lat stretch, letting the arm slide through the foam roller here. You're getting a nice stretch of the lat, but you're also encouraging a little bit of thoracic extension. If you don't like either of those, you can keep your same band and you can go into a lat stretch here, pulling away, a little bit of external rotation with that palm up, and then you're just gonna act like you're sitting back in a chair to get a nice stretch. You can even turn your butt gently away from the band to really get a nice tie-in of all that musculature on the side. So the lower body, we have bigger muscles. We tend to warm those muscles up better than we do our upper body, but don't forget to take the time to warm up the uppers. Quick pec and lat, warm up and stretch, give it a shot. So we went through a quick warm-up for the lower body, Tyler, didn't we?
Yeah, let's do a picture. See
Why?
Who wore it better?
Get out of the camera, bro.
Let's do it. What are you working on?